Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you want in the body and mind you want. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of freedom with food and your body, you're in the right place. Just a reminder that this podcast represents my own opinions. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult your doctor or healthcare professional for any individual medical questions you may have. Hello, friends. Thanks for being here. Remember to head over to my website to sign up for my free monthly newsletter on all things well-being, lots of tips and tricks. I always include a recipe, things like that. And the website is my name, heatherheynen.com, and Heynen is spelled Heynen. So head over there, sign up for that free monthly newsletter. So today we're talking about how losing weight does not have to be miserable. So really, if you ask anyone about losing weight, you're going to hear answers like, it's the worst, it's awful, it's miserable. And we all hear this narrative from things like social media, outside sources. You know, it's just so important to remember that these are just other people's thoughts. So you do not have to take on this way of thinking about weight loss, which, by the way, thinking this way about weight loss creates more misery. So you can decide for yourself what kind of experience you want to have. Just because everyone else says so does not mean it's true or that it has to be true for you. And if we're thinking things like, this is the worst or this is so hard, then we really create those feelings of misery for ourselves, which, by the way, these feelings often lead to more overeating and less weight gone. And or these feelings eventually lead to self-sabotage, which we all know does not lead to sustained weight loss or food freedom or the confidence that we can experience in a healthy body. Misery during weight loss does not have to be your experience. Another reason that losing weight can feel miserable is because you aren't listening to your body. You're not paying attention to your body's signals, its messages. You're not paying attention to where you are at in life, what your schedule life is like, what your personality is like, what your unique tastes are. So you follow the latest fad diet and you end up feeling hungry all the time. You're tired. You have zero patience, zero energy, and this is miserable. And as most of you listening know what happens in these situations, you're in misery. So again, that feeling drives behaviors of overeating, binging, and basically not losing the weight you want to lose or regaining what you've maybe already lost. And it again is that self-sabotage cycle. It becomes so uncomfortable mentally and physically that we just give up. The solution is to recognize that your body is very intelligent and knows when and what it needs to eat to stay at an optimal weight and health. So my work with a lot of clients is how to help them reconnect with their bodies, how to reconnect with what we are all actually born with, the ability to sense and know what our bodies need for food and drink. And there's lots of reasons we lose this ability that I'm not going to go into here, but the important part is to know we can rebuild that connection with our body. And I don't know exactly what each client needs, but I know my client deep down actually does. And our work together helps to get them to a place where they can figure that out again, how to reconnect with their body, how to hear the subtle cues and to listen to it to know what it needs. The goal I have for all my clients is really to help them learn to figure out what foods work best for them to lose weight, and that also creates satiation for them and that they also enjoy eating. You know, I help them learn to meet their body's needs, eating foods that promote weight loss and that they enjoy and that are satisfying to them so that you're not hungry all the time. And when where you can feel that energy and you can feel fueled and not depleted and exhausted And this creates a situation where weight loss is not a sufferfest, right? It's not this miserable experience that trips you into self-sabotage. It really is something that feels good, where you feel good in your body as you lose the weight. Another reason weight loss can feel so miserable is because we feel restricted and deprived. And restriction means we're not getting all the things that we need or want. And if you're dieting in a way that restricts a major food group, you most likely will start to feel deprived. And now that's not to say that restricting a food group doesn't work for some people. It absolutely can, but it only works for the people who have changed their mindset about it, who've changed their thoughts about it. So feeling deprived comes from thinking restrictive thoughts. But if someone goes keto and practices thinking in a way that is very abundant versus restrictive about that way of eating that they are following, it can totally work for them with no eventual self-sabotage. But if someone goes keto, this is just for an example, it could be anything, any fad diet, and every time they see a family member eating bread or pizza and they're thinking things like, I want that so bad, or I hate that I can't have that, or this diet sucks because I can't eat that, or I wish I could have that. Those are called restrictive type thoughts, and they do create a feeling of deprivation. And as we all know, when we have this feeling of deprivation, eventually we will self-sabotage ourselves. And by the way, I am not a proponent of keto or any other specific fad diet. I am not saying a fad diet can't work for some people long-term, but in my experience, a fad diet of any kind is usually followed for most it's usually followed where most eventually give up. It backfires, and most people end up putting back on the weight they maybe lost on that fad diet, plus some. My success with clients comes from figuring out a way of eating that works for each individual, where they can have the foods they love, eat in ways that feel nourishing and sustainable over time while losing the weight they want to lose. This is what creates lifelong weight loss. This creates food freedom. This allows you to move on in life with other things you want to accomplish versus always staying focused on your body, on food, on weight. With deprivation, we feel like our needs are not getting met. So if you are famished and hungry all the time, you are going to feel deprived. So we need to meet your body where it's at and nourish it in ways that give it that quality energy it needs, so it's not starving, so you can sleep, so you're not crabby and hungry all the time, and that makes things so much easier. If you are thinking in ways of what you're allowed or not allowed to eat, or what you can or can't have, well, first off, I just want you to think about it. This is a lie, because you are an adult and you are allowed to eat whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want. So if you're not eating something, it's because you are making a choice. You have the control to eat it or not eat it. So it's not that you're not allowed to eat it. You are making a choice. You are an adult and you are in control. So we really need to manage our minds around all of this. Often we don't realize that we actually have control over feeling restricted or deprived. We do have control over this. When we are aware of our thoughts and feelings, we know that we are in control. We can work through those thoughts and feelings of deprivation and learn to shift them to ones of abundance. And often losing weight can also feel so miserable because it feels like so much work, right? We are making our food plans, we're prepping our meals, we're weighing and measuring, we're having to log, to get all our food dialed in. And you may not be able or willing to continue that long term. So these things may create weight loss for you, but if you're not willing to do it long term, then it's not a good solution for you for permanent weight loss. But we need to realize that simpler and easier is always better. Keeping these things as simple and easy as possible is so important. You do not need complicated recipes. You really don't need any recipes. You don't even need to be able to cook. You really can make this so simple so that the food you're eating tastes delicious, satisfies you, nourishes your body, and does not take that much time at all. To make where following your plan is so easy versus following your plan that is really difficult and time consuming, and so that you end up saying, screw it. I really help my clients hone in and make plans that are super easy for them to follow, to be able to enjoy sticking to their plan because it's so easy, that the food that they eat It's the food that they like. It's food that nourishes their bodies. We make their plans easier than ordering pizza. That's always the goal, right? We want the food plan for the day to be easier than ordering a pizza. When it's easier to stick to your plan versus not stick to your plan, obviously we're going to stick to our plan because it's easier and simpler to do so. An easy and simple food plan really is a gift that you give yourself, and it's also what brings about permanent weight loss and freedom with your food relationship and with your body. One of the biggest rules is that we don't put food on the plan that doesn't taste good to you. You need to enjoy the food that you put on your plan. Recognize that it does not have to be so much work. And if you have this belief that it has to be hard work in order to lose weight, then I offer to you at least one question, as something to think about. Ask yourself, what if that wasn't actually true? What if it didn't have to feel so hard? What if it was possible to enjoy my weight loss journey? Just asking these questions to yourself creates an open mind where maybe you can start to sense that it is actually possible. Maybe it really could be easy and simple. One final reason losing weight feels miserable is because we don't realize we are actually in control of our experience. When we're not aware of our thoughts and our feelings, when they are just happening in the background, creating often a miserable experience, and then we just think this is just the way it is. But when we know and become aware of our thoughts and feelings, become aware of our thoughts and then the feelings that those thoughts create, you now have the ability to manage your mind. Looking at the thoughts you think and naming the feelings that they create, and then analyzing are they helpful or not for the goal I have? And then starting to practice shifting them to more helpful thoughts that create feelings that you need to drive the behaviors that you actually want to be behaving in so you can get the results that you really want. This is not just positive thinking. I say this all the time. This is not toxic positive thinking. This is about teaching yourself how to think something new, how to believe something new. It is really training the brain. This is a skill that can be learned and practiced, and it changes everything. When we learn to manage our minds and how to think in ways that are more helpful, even when we get that skill kind of honed in, we still are going to experience difficult feelings. And this is where I also teach my clients how to learn how to experience the hard feelings we will sometimes experience by processing them, how to move them through our bodies so we can eventually feel better. And when we have those two skills in place, how to shift to more helpful thoughts and how to process difficult emotions, we no longer go to food or drink in response to those thoughts and feelings. The best part of all this is that once you get to this space, you find you can use this process for the rest of your life and in all aspects of your life, for any goal you have in life. It's like we can use our weight, our food issues, if you will, to learn these things. And then once we are beyond the food, weight, body issue, we can apply this to all aspects of our lives. All right. I hope you learned something useful. And if so, would you please go to whatever platform you're listening to this on and give a rating, 5-star review if you're willing of the podcast. That really helps it move within the algorithm so it pops up for other people to see and view. And that helps me keep this podcast going. Thanks for listening, and we will talk soon. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and get in touch with questions on all things I offer, like online courses for overeating, weight loss, goal attainment, and also my coaching and counseling services.